Not one, not five, not 10, not 20, but 25 books on how to become a millionaire before you're 25. And as a bonus, my mini summary of each book, plus, for most of them, the best passage I found in the book. The first book on how to become a millionaire before 25 is the classic Think and Grow Rich. What's the biggest moral? It's that money has to become an obsession for you. As long as money is just an interest, just a passion, just ego, it will never work. You have to take it personally and you have to think about it every day. Napoleon Hill's technique is a mental reset technique, especially if you're soft. It will really work 100% with you. Why? Because you're going to write every morning and every evening, so each time you do, you're rewriting your life goals, your life vision, where you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and what's more, you say it orally. When you say it orally, I don't want you to read it as I dream of being tall and handsome with 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, $15,000 a month from my online business and financial and geographical freedom. No, I want you to practically scream in front of your notebook, in front of your mirror, if you make your affirmations in front of the mirror, in front of your little brother, in front of your girlfriend, whoever you want. Why? Because you have to say them with the same rage as you would if you didn't succeed. You have to say them as if you were sure you had already achieved them. Read it quickly because it only costs $6.20. The second book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is a book that can be summed up simply by its title. Why? Because the concept is pretty self-explanatory. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Quite frankly, his lectures are better than his book. I was bored by this book. On the other hand, I'm honest and you can't miss the concept. So basically, the best part is that people don't care who you are or how you created the product you're selling. People buy why you had the idea, why you designed it, why you're now offering the product you're selling. The third book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The book costs $21.99 and it's gigantically complete. I will read you the best part. Basically, in life, you either have the circle of influence or the circle of concern. You can see it on YouTube. The circle of concern, for example, as a viewer, is a search algorithm or a video suggestion that is not going to change your life at all. You have absolutely no influence on that. It's synonymous with entertainment. For example, the Dolan family conflict, Pierre Palmades accident, drugs and Cyril Hanouna. On the other hand, the circle of influence is, for example, I hope, in any case, I'm fighting for it. The video you're watching today from me is a video about gear to be twice as productive in your new online business. Why? Because after the video, well, you can take direct action after the video to improve your brain and improve your life. So there's absolutely nothing you can do about the circle of concern. These are things which, even if you die tomorrow, will in fact continue to happen. If you look at the news that was published on the day you were born, so maybe 18 years ago, 22 years ago, 26 years ago, 30 years ago, 34 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago maybe, for the older viewers who are watching me today, well, you will see that it's always the same processes. Maybe it's the same subject and nothing has really changed. So be proactive rather than reactive. That's why you may not have the money you deserve. The first book on how to become a millionaire before you're 25 is Deep Work. Deep Work will help you to become a more productive entrepreneur. A word of advice, the first half of the book is absolutely useless. Up until page 110, there is no point in reading Deep Work. Why? because it's a lot of storytelling, it's repetitive, it's spitballing, you don't give a damn. And it's only in part 2, naming the rules, that you get into the detail of how to become a top 1% most productive entrepreneur and make your first $1 million before the age of 25. The best part of deep work is about the internet. Why? Because the internet is stronger than you are. The internet is abstract, YouTube is concrete, X sites are concrete, and music, even popular music, is concrete because it's all on the internet. There's bound to be a time when the machine is better than you. There's bound to be a time when you're more tired than at another time. A time when you will be lazier than at another time. A moment when you will feel sillier, dumber, stupider than another moment. Instinctively, you will go to YouTube, you will go to your phone, you will unlock everything, and you will go to the app you're most addicted to. Deep work teaches you that you should never use social media, your phone's applications, or anything else to entertain yourself. You entertain yourself away from your phone, away from your computer. The 5th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is a book that will make you want to create addictive products that will hook your prospects. Hooked is based on 4 principles for making any product addictive. The first is triggers, the second is rewards, the third is actions, the fourth is investment. 210 pages of concepts, precepts, and protocols to make your product legally addictive and to ensure that you have added so many cognitive biases, so many deep-seated needs to your product that even the social status of your prospects changes when they become customers. We're here to reach many more needs. That's what this book teaches us through your product. It's not just a function that's fulfilled, it's a reputation that's built. It costs $20 for the moment. In terms of concrete financial advice, it's the most profitable of the 5 I've presented. We're building to a crescendo. The best part for me is about the finished products, meaning that it's much more profitable for you to never put an end to your product. If you put an end to your product, such as a classic online training course, well, once people have bought your course, in order to make a limited superfan customer profitable again, given that it's a superfan, well, you're going to have to recreate another course with another sales pitch, with another big brain idea, go through the whole creative process again, and above all, risk disappointing your superfan. It's much more profitable for you to stake everything on a single product that never ends, with a flexible monthly payment, for example, that you can cancel whenever you want. That's what gets the most customers these days. Your 6th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is the most underrated book on the market. You've never heard of it except on this channel, From Success to Success, which I found by chance. It's worth $16.99. It's really a sort of melting pot, so it's basically very complete with lots of other books inside. Its best passage is on the 90-day plan, so it explains everything in great detail. It's a book I quote all the time because it's really easy to read if you're not used to reading books. Yes, it's not like Unlimited Power, for example, which is extremely ugly. This is a very modern book, easy to read, easy to finish, with lots of practical advice. It's the same thing, quite short in the end, given that it's 155 pages long and in the form of a strategy. In fact, these are tips. So, for example, tip 29, regrouping, grouping tasks, a bit like Robert Greene's books, with the quote in the middle. If you don't have the time, let's say it's a bit like Power. The 7th book for your first $1 million before the age of 25 is the 80-20 principle. So, know this, the trap when I present this book to you is to say, but I already know Pareto's law. I already know the 80-20 principle. I don't need to read it. It's not just Pareto's 80-20 principle. There is principle 55. This book doesn't just make you richer, it makes you much more intelligent, because to be more productive, you have to do fewer things. For example, today I'm setting myself just one habit, which is to get up at 5 in the morning in good shape. And I'm setting myself just one goal, which is to shoot 2 videos for my YouTube channel. Strangely enough, I end my day earlier, I'm happier, and I haven't achieved more than usual. On the contrary, I've achieved less, but I've been more efficient during the day. So I go to sleep with less stress. This is a must read before starting any activity. I'll give you an example that really helped me. Once you're an entrepreneur, how do you allocate your budget to your business? What makes me money today is video. My business is video, not books or suits. After reading this book, I realized that I had made a lot of mistakes because I could not be present everywhere. Why? 8 out of 10 people I was paying at the time, and I was happy to pay them, were not working on video. There were graphic designers, copywriters, web developers, not video editors. So I wasn't present. However, all I did was work. The way I used my money, especially when I started my business, was not intelligent. I was stupid. So don't be stupid like me in your first 2 years in online business. Because today there are fewer and fewer excuses, as there are more and more AIs and competitors to replace us. Read the 80-20 principle before starting your business. The 8th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a book that costs $6.10, which sums up years of study inside. In principle, the chapters are extremely copyrighted. I will give you chapter 2, for example, The Great Secret of Human Relationships. If you don't like reading, start with How to Win Friends and Influence People and From Success to Success, because these are books that make you want to finish them. Its main competitive advantage over the others is that it will teach you how to present your brand. You're going to say to me, but why do I have to present my brand? Because your product is you. Your service is you. What I buy is you. What's going to make the difference between services on a small ad site such as Fiverr, ComeUp, whatever you like, where I'm going to compare the timescales, compare to the nearest dollar, compare the bonuses you put into the order, and a profitable business for you too, where you get what you pay for, where you're not a slave to the next customer. It's a business where I'm there for the person. I'm not here just to provide a service. I want you to be the one who delivers the service. It's also essential to know how to deal with jealousy when you start to be successful, how to deal with complaints when you start to sell products. It's normal. It all goes together. You can't please everyone. When you're going to manage a team, whether in person or online, meetings on Zoom or phone calls, you're going to learn how not to bruise any egos, because each person has a sign with "Make me important" written invisibly on it. If you're learning how to make friends, you're also learning how to get rich. The 9th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is a book on influence and manipulation by Robert Cialdini. There are 6.5 principles. The trap is to say to yourself, okay, well, principles of authority, principles of consistency, contrast effects. I can go on ChatGPT, I understand it. I can watch videos on it, I understand it. The wealth of this book is not its principles. Its principles are now common knowledge. It's like power. The richness of power is not its laws, but the explanations, the stories, the metaphors, the counterexamples, the concrete applied aspect of each law. That's what you're going to learn. Know this, there are far too many examples in influence, but all the better, because you're only paying $7.90, so it might as well be the most profitable investment of the year. The 10th best book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is, for me, the first book to be read in this top 10, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Mind you, it's often described as a beginner's book. It's not a beginner's book. In other words, if you reread it even 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, even 6.5 years later, you will understand or you will pick up on passages that you didn't pick up on the first time you read it, when you were younger or poorer. The best passage in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I don't think you've heard it anywhere else, is the one about creating a profitable team. When you go to create your first product, your first service that works thanks to a profitable team, in his case, as he was talking about real estate, it could be a great accountant, a great architect that you know who can give you a lower price and all that, a great surveyor, even having acquaintances with the mayor of the town, for example. Apply this profitable team to your own field. The 11th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is a book that no one knows about. It's Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. You might recognize him though as the character played by Leonardo DiCaprio in what is for me his best film, The Wolf of Wall Street. Yes, this is basically his story. Way of the Wolf will help you to know exactly how to construct your sales script, whether it's oral or written, for hot or cold traffic. It's well worth Tugan Barra's training courses for $17.90. It's the best sales book I've ever read in my life. Why? Because it's not just principles of cognitive bias or principles of influence and scientific manipulation based on studies. No, for me, it's a huge digest of all those years of cold marketing by telephone to sell, as he says, his products to shitty people. Don't think that because it's a book, it's not going to be thorough and concrete. Why? Because he goes so far as to talk about syllable intonation. That's much more convincing than if I had stuck to a very weak, very simple tone from the beginning of the video. You need to know how to play with your tone, your volume, your rate of voice, almost your articulation when some words are more important to remember than others. He talks about non-verbal communication. For me, it's the ultimate banger from A to Z and well worth 1K training courses. And his best bit, realizing that in every conversation you have, whether it's friendly, professional, financial, whatever, whether you're talking to someone higher than you, a master like Robert Greene or a pupil, the level of self-confidence at the start of the conversation is at 0. The person is in absolute doubt. Your aim is to get them to 10 out of 10 in a few sentences, a few introductions, a few arguments. At 8 out of 10, you close the deal. Then, at 10 out of 10, the person will order again from you. The 12th best book to read to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is Become a Pro Trader. It's going to teach you how to generate money through real trading. That is, out of you trade for 2 hours a day and off you go. Even if that's your goal in the end, you're going to have to spend 10 hours a day on the chart. You're not going to be able to skip all those hours of learning. It's not possible. Benoit Rousseau is the best mentor to teach you this mentality, because for me, it's almost a state of mind. You're going to change through trading. You're going to become almost a cold-blooded animal, because you can feel any emotion in front of the chart. No excitement when you win, no fear or doubt when you lose. It's far more profitable than training courses, because with training, you're also paying for the video aspect. Yes, it's easier to put ×2 on a video than to read every word, every page of Benoît Trousseau's book. The 13th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is a book on business models based on cognitive bias. The Choice Factory costs just under $20. It brings together 20 ultra-powerful cognitive biases adapted to marketing and the business model. What is the business model? For me, it's more profitable than copywriting because there's no point in working on sales scripts, on VSLs as copywriters understand them. So basically, product presentation videos if your basic product offering doesn't sell. So, just like the book logo, you will be able to imprint your product on the brain of the target consumer. It's a very, very easy book to read, which is almost manipulative writing. I really like it. Nobody talks about it, and I've never mentioned it to you before either, and I recommend it 100%, especially before you create your irresistible offer, because yes, your product is more likely to fail than succeed. So it's best to give yourself every chance at the outset, which will inevitably involve a lower price, at least at the launch, in order to attract as many people as possible, who will then be converted into video testimonials for the following ones. The 13th best book to read to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is Nathan Lammer's book, Black Book of Marketing Secrets. If I tell you about it, it's really because for me, it's 99 marketing secrets. But it's not just marketing. As I said earlier, it's also about manipulation, persuasion, convincing, sales, business, irresistible offers, knowing when to put in bonuses, and knowing when to play up the urgency. It's obviously a best of menu, so to speak, of all the sales books, including some I mentioned earlier, like Influence and How to Win Friends and Influence People, all in one place. In his case, I think he has a famous offer popularized by Tugendbara of you only pay the delivery costs. I think the delivery charge is maybe $8, $9, $10, I don't know. Which means that in the end, if the book costs you even less than $20, well, it's still highly profitable. Why? For two reasons. Number one, it's as well written as the personal MBA in the sense that it's in the form of a principle, a secret. For example, this is the price of decoys. What is a decoy in marketing? It's a false price formula that you propose to the customer. But in fact, it's done on purpose to either get your foot in the door, that is, it's the first cheap product that will encourage the consumer to buy. In fact, they won't necessarily say to themselves, well, for example, for $800, I've got one, just as much as I've got 10 for $1,000. It's just $200 more. I've got 10 times more in value. Do you understand? The first offer is a decoy offer. That's his secret number 50. His explanations are brilliant. There are two advantages to reading this book. The first is that it's all in one place for very little money. It's super easy to read because instead of saying to yourself, I read 10 pages every night when I come home from work tired or when I come home from school on top of revising, you will say to yourself, I read one secret a night. You will have to be patient. In 99 days, or let's say 100 days to round it off, you will have read Nathan's book. And above all, what I want you to do is apply it because it's obviously very concrete. Why? Because the second advantage of reading this book is that Nathan Lammer is a young advertising executive, a young online entrepreneur in his 20s. So he's faced with the same sorts, the same problems, the same needs as you. And I really felt it in his writing. He's not like Robert Greene, Tim Ferriss, or Anthony Robbins. Here, you can see that it's someone who is also a successful young online entrepreneur, who is writing this book and who, in fact, speaks to us almost as he writes. So we have the same points in common, we have the same social codes, which means that personally, I've learned a lot more from this book than from other marketing or sales books, for example. The 15th book in the series on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25, this could be the book that takes you from a young entrepreneur who's just launched his online offering to number one in your market. Why? Because it's the most unknown book of the market. Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got by J. Abraham, a real American billionaire. These are 21 highly advanced principles for making your business even more profitable. That's by creating an automatic customer feedback factory. The best way to do this is through testing. Yes, testing is the most profitable strategy for a company. Why? Because we often waste years trying to shape a product. We waste months talking about a product that is already bad. So, as Dan Lok says, always sell products that your customers, or at least your target market, your prospects, already want to buy or are already buying. In marketing, you have to reinvent the wheel. In business models, never. The book also allows you to price your product or service. So basically, to choose the right price for your product or service. As I said, for me, there is no right price. Why? Because you have to start by offering your product or service, even if at the end of the day you want to sell it for $1,000, and then increase the price step by step as you receive more and more testimonials. The price of your product depends on the number and quality of the testimonials you receive. As a little bonus, the ebook only costs $24, which is nothing in its niche. The 16th best book for your first $1 million, whether online or in person, before the age of 25 is by Olivier Roland, the internet dinosaur as he calls himself. Not everyone was lucky enough to fail their studies. For me, this book is the second best first book to read on money. Once again, don't just read about money, because if you do, your brain will become saturated. Not everyone was lucky enough to fail their studies, does everything a little but very well. Why? Because he talks about sales strategy, mental reset, and the uselessness of studying, financial IQ, and the Robert Kiyosaki type of profitable team. He also talks about productivity, about how if you chase two rabbits at once, well, you won't catch either of them by multitasking, for example. He talks about deep work. Really, it's like a 460-page library for $25. The 17th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is my favorite book on money. Why? Because there is nothing off topic. From page 1 to the last page, about 300 of them, it's about finance and economics. I'm talking about The Millionaire Fast Lane by its author, M.G. DeMarco, who is also very mysterious. The best part is the commandments. There is, for example, the commandment of need. Very often, your product will never sell, no matter how hard you try, no matter how patient you are. Why? Because your product or service addresses a need that's too nice to be profitable. If, as in Tribe of Mentors, you address needs that tickle people's fancy, well, people won't buy from you. You won't stop them in their daily routine. On the other hand, if they are itching, if you are actually addressing the right itchy needs, then people will be more interested in you. A simple example, as you can see, 8 out of 10 online trainers are in the make money niche. Why? Because it's in this niche that you're most likely to be able to buy another digital product to invest in yourself. Because I say to myself, I will spend 100 quid, it's not just for theoretical personal development, when in fact personal development is your life. But you say to yourself, I will put in 100 quid I will manage to earn maybe $10,000 a month, $5,000 a month in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Or, according to some advice, a Shopify shop in 30 days. Applied, it's worth far more than most of the business training courses I've taken in my life. Bearing in mind that I've been pretty successful in business, knowing where I'm starting from. So, for $22, which is even less than all the previous books I've mentioned, it's in your Amazon shopping cart if you haven't read it yet. For the people around you, it's much more socially acceptable to read a book like The Millionaire Fast Lane. Almost all the girls will actually go for you when you read this book, rather than How to Win Friends and Influence People. When you read The Millionaire Fast Lane, at worst, you're a know-it-all. At best, you're a future golden boy like Jordan Belfort from the book Way of the Wolf. The 18th book for your first $1 million before the age of 25 is a book I spat on for a long time. It's the book, The E-Myth. Why? Because I had not achieved enough online income or financial success to understand why this book is a real Bible. Because until recently, it comes back sometimes, I was trapped in the rat race of entrepreneurship. In my case, the next video, the next client, the next product, the next testimonial, the next title, the next concept. And in fact, I don't stop. And in fact, I don't do sport, I don't cook, I don't make love, I'm not in shape, I feel bad, I'm not in good spirits. Why? Because I'm actually in a rat race. Yes, bigger, yes, richer, but still a rat race. Even if I win the rat race, bingo, I'm still a rat. His best passage is on the 3 different types of entrepreneur: technician, manager, entrepreneur. You should not work in your business. You should work on your business. That's just one sentence, but for me, it's the sentence that has made me the most money in my life. It's also this sentence that has left me with the biggest financial shortfall of my entire life. It's this sentence that has been the hardest to apply all my life. The choice to delegate will come. The choice to eliminate tasks will come. The choice not to please everyone, and so on and so on. With this sentence from the book The E-Myth at $23. The 19th best book on my list for making $1 million before the age of 25 is a book by Grant Cardone, The 10x Rule. Why do I recommend the 10x Rule? Because the tribe is the same as for Start With Why. But that was the case really. It's to stop at the title. Basically to say, okay, I will take all my objectives, I will do times 10 on them, and I will go for it. No, now you're going to be very, very unhappy. I remember a friend who followed that rule without necessarily listening to my advice to the letter. He almost fell into a depression because of this book. Why? Because this book is very dangerous. And not succeeding every day, not achieving all your objectives every day is going to affect your morale. And once morale is affected, productivity is over. So for me, the 10x Rule is a book you must read. It's a book that's not just about its concept, not just about its title. It will teach you how to set profitable goals for your business, but also for the balance of your life, your ikigai. Its best passage is the difference between dominating and competing, being in competition. By the way, Grant Cardone also wrote a book after the 10x Rule. Don't compete, dominate. This book will teach you not to compete. You will either flop or hit the jackpot, but at least there's no competition, and you will never be on someone else's will. The 20th book is my favorite for becoming a millionaire before the age of 25. It's the book I've been quoting the most on YouTube, The Personal MBA by Josh Kaufman. It's a book that's always $27 and I don't understand why it's not at least 100 times more, $2,700. For me, it will still be profitable. It's a book that I rediscover every time I read it because, in fact, there is too much content. It's a book that easily fills in all the gaps in your business knowledge, even the gaps that you don't even know you have yet because you haven't yet been confronted with the problem. Maybe 20% of my brain is made up of the book The Personal MBA. Why am I talking about a problem? Because that's really its definition. What stands between you and your first $1,000,000 today is 100 problems, 1000 problems to solve. How can you solve them if you're thinking in the same way as people who have been there before? You are already being told the way forward. It is not online training. It's this book, The Personal MBA at $27. The 21st book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is Successfully Investing in Garages and Parking Lots by Julian Bedwet, who himself has owned perhaps 400 garages and car parks over the years. This business model will teach you how to invest in property in a fairly specific way, in the sense that it's cheaper, the clientele is of better quality, there is less pressure, it's easier to sell, and the bank trusts you more. Bearing in mind that it's a niche market and inevitably, given that the purchase prices are cheaper, it's easier to get financing. A little bonus, you often buy lots of garages and car parks. In any case, in my experience, this has also been the case. So, it's easier to negotiate a discount or reduction as you go along. There are fewer owners on the market in this niche. Why? Because a single owner cannot necessarily have 80 flats or 80 houses. On the other hand, a single owner can more easily have 80 garages or 80 car parks. There is nothing to stop you when you buy taking a little more space for the garage and transforming it over time with investment into a flat or studio. The book costs $24.80, and if you think you need a training course, which he does, I would not really recommend it because it's too expensive. $5,000 for training courses? Really guys, it's too risky, whatever happens. Too bad, Julian Bedwet. He shows you some documents in the printed book on how to write a good rent receipt. So that's a little message for those who say that books are just theory. The 22nd best book on this list for becoming a millionaire before the age of 25 is Tribes by Seth Godin. I have lots of books by Seth Godin, including This is Marketing. What is the advantage of this book? It's that today, from 2025 to 2030, we can no longer afford to make products that are still for isolated people. The trendiest and anti-fragile products are those that bring people together. Tribes will teach you not just to offer a product, but above all to offer a community. Do the same thing to generate a community of followers and not just sales on the run. The 23rd best book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25 is by Tim Ferriss. For me, it's his best book in pure money, The 4-Hour Workweek, which is rather productivity oriented. So why do I rank it in this get-rich-quick ranking? Is because in the 4-Hour Workweek, Timothy Ferriss teaches you how to deal with the problem of lack of time in your business before you start it, rather than after you've made all the promises to your customers. It's better to promise 6 out of 10 and deliver 7 out of 10 than to promise 9 out of 10 or even 10 out of 10 for many people and deliver 4 out of 10 and then 1 year later deliver 2 out of 10. Just now, on a community Discord, there were customers of a sports coach who said that they had joined a phantom Discord. Even he didn't even want to use his own platform. These guys create offers to get rich. I create offers to get smarter during my crossing of the desert. I think I'm still crossing the desert. You need to go more towards offers like this one, where the mentor, the leader, is there. The day the mentor stops using his products, it's either that he's too high compared to the level of his products, so it may still suit you, or it's because it's become crap. He doesn't even use them anymore. If you're a victim of the rat race of the employee, student, or entrepreneur, read the 4-Hour Workweek, because you will be able to deal with this problem before you have even more of it, saying to yourself, no, it doesn't exist, I'm the best, I don't need to read it. Just in case, the book costs $20.50 and it will get you out of the meter work sleep routine. The 21st best book on how to become a millionaire is a nugget. The book is super simple, super fun to read, made to stick. Know it, there is a huge amount of content with lots of different models on marketing and, once again, the business model. It will teach you how to create a big brain idea. What is a big brain idea? Basically, when I talk to you about the idea, when I talk to you about this product, when I talk to you about what I'm doing, well, you just can't get it out of your head. This book will teach you not to waste your time working on an idea that doesn't sell, an idea that doesn't stick, and to create products that stick with your big brain idea. The book is a little pricey though, at $25, but there are also some storytelling ideas in there, and I'm a big fan of this made to stick book. The nugget of the day, the 25th book on how to become a millionaire before the age of 25. I hesitated with the art of storytelling at first, but then decided to go for it, is Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Why? Because nobody talks about this book, and yet it's perhaps the one you're missing the most. Why? Because before you present your product, before you present your sales speech to anyone, yes, it's really very concrete, there's nothing off topic. You first have to make sure that the person in front of you has a good level of knowledge of your product, a good level of listening to their emotional state. And if that's not the case, you have to upset them. For example, if tomorrow I want to sell you a bed, before I tell you about the advantages of the need that my product meets, what I'm going to do is ask you questions to create the need. I'm going to present you with statistical studies, and I'm going to tell you about this bias that we all have and that I used to have, storytelling, about, well, basically I sleep anyway, I don't care how I sleep. No, we sleep a third of our lives. At the end of the day, that's the easiest thing to do, because you do nothing. You sleep, you do nothing. So you might as well invest in a great bed, knowing that there is no other area where a product will do so much in relation to the amount of effort you put in. After that, when you talk to him about the bed, he's going to find it fascinating. Why should it be fascinating? Because he understands the need it solves. He says to himself, but this is a sort of my life. I'm, according to Pareto's law of equilibrium, concentrating on it for 30 minutes and then, in contrast, I'm productive for 40 years of my life without doing anything in my sleep. His best passage is an anecdote about the 11 September 2001 attacks. The day after the attacks, there were polls in favor of much more protectionist policies towards the state and more security in general, even if it meant turning the United States into an open-air prison for its inhabitants. The polls were 70% in favor. Just 1 year later, when we put the issue back on the table, perhaps only 14% or 18% of American citizens were in favor. So, in the end, we lost 6 times the number of favorable opinions among the same people we were targeting. This is the book Persuasion, and as a little mnemonic, think of preliminary. There's no act without a preliminary. Why? Because if you don't, the girl will be in pain and you will never make love to her again. You will never touch her again. Think of the same thing in your business with your prospects. Easy